Hello everyone. Today I have another tuning video for you. It's not my car, it's my friend's car. If you remember the old video, 10-hour, 500-pound system. So he came back just for a tune, and what we did, we bought him, if you remember on the old one, it was just a subwoofer and the door mid-bass speaker that was running all the way to the top. And now we bought him widebands, which is hybrid audio 2.7, I think the ones, 3-inch, 2.5-inch, whatever they are. We got them super cheap. We just put them in PVC end caps, and it is what it is for now. So I tuned it. It was a very quick, rough tune, and we're gonna go through it and see what we did. So first of all, I did take the measurement of the old tune that he had. Basically, I tuned it kind of flattish for him, and I told him play with a head unit because he was running a high level inputs into the DSP. Play with a head unit, adjust the treble, adjust the bass as you wanted, and then we're gonna see. So I gave him like probably a month like that, and he came back with this. Actually, he came back with a tiny bit more. No, actually, he came back like this. First time he came back, he got a little bit more top end. So he had like a smiley face on the head unit EQ. But he likes bass. If you can see, like, if I take the average, like 63. So 73, 83, like plus 20 dB on bass. So he likes bass. However, he said that the bass was a tiny bit boomy, and it's obvious because it's too much bass. And he rolled down the top end a tiny little bit. So when I had only the door speakers playing, it was kind of fine. Like he needed to boost it because the top end was coming from the doors. So even if it measures flat, it doesn't sound that. When we put the wide bands on the dash, in the corners of the dash, it was more direct sound. So he needs to tame it a bit. So according to this, I made a target for him with Jazzy's tuning curve, and I made something like this. What I did is I lowered the bass. Actually, let me bring this up a tiny bit. Which one is it? Old. Let's bring it down. Just an overlay, so you would see that it's something similar. Yeah, just like that. So what I did, I kept everything like here, a bit less bass because he said it is boomy, and it's obviously like if you have 60 hertz plus 20 dB, it is super boomy. So less bass, which he will have an option to adjust on the head unit, and I rolled off the top end by, what is it, from 200, like 5 dB, because he's a metalhead, yeah, and he listens to a lot of metal, and it's harsh. So I thought maybe rolling down the top end, it's not going to be that harsh, and he will be able to listen on more moderate levels without fatigue. So this was the target for me. And then I took the measurement of individual drivers with the same crossovers. So left mid range and right mid. So these are the wide bands. 2.5-inch or 3-inch, whatever they are, and they are in small tiny end caps, PVC end caps, so they have literally no space behind them, no breathing space. And as you can see, there's a massive peak at 400 because they're in a tiny space. Right is exactly the same. It's super peaky here, and it is what it is. They roll off super fast, and but yeah, they play kind of flattish from 700 up to 8K. And this, the rolling off of top end, it was actually beneficial because I don't need that, because I want to roll it off as even more. So I applied, this is with the crossovers of, I think, 350. Across them over 350, yeah. So that's the left mid. Then Left mid, I EQ'd it down like this. Actually, I need to bring it down because I was playing with the levels as well a lot. That's why the measurements are quite off. Where is it? This is number 6. Yeah, let's bring it up by 5. There we go. Yeah, so it's something like that. I pushed this dip a bit. I pushed the top end a tiny little bit. EQ'd it flat, and this peak went down. So that's after EQ, the left one. The right one, very similarly, just EQ'd it down. This massive peak, just removed it as well. And I ended up like, where is it? With something like this. Then after I did the home impulse, which I'm gonna go through this as well. These are both of them. And I should have played a bit more with the EQ because it's probably just cancellations, how they interact between each other. I don't know. The thing is, I didn't have that much time, but it is what it is. So these are both of them. Now let's see the mid bass. The mid bass is factory. I don't know what size. I think it's either 5 1/4 or 6 1/2, but it's a factory mid bass. It rolls off after 50, very, very steep. And yeah, it is what it is, you know. So from this, I crossed it over from 350 on this side and I think 70 on this side. And then EQ'd. Where's my target? That's a target, but it's on a different level because I was playing with the levels a lot. And I EQ'd it, removed the peak. So it lost a lot of headroom, but the thing is, like, if I would have my targets much, much higher, I wouldn't have any of this lower end because it rolls off quite steep. So it's just, I had to do what I have to do. Then right bass. This is after the same crossovers and after EQ. So as you can see, the levels are not there, but I did bring the levels up with amplifier gain because the gains were set on minimum. So I just brought them up to the level that I needed. And these are the both of them with, of course, level up. And as you can see, there is a cancellation at 150. I should have played with some all pass filters, but today I just didn't have time. So it is, it's not that great. If I'm gonna add both mids as well, like that, it's not linear, it's not great, but hey, how much you can do in an hour, yeah? The subwoofer is Alpine Type R in 1 cubic feet, I think it's 1 cubic feet or maybe less, sealed enclosure. It's peaking at 50, it's very peaky, that's why it sounds boomy. It's crossed at 70 as well. I EQ'd it down, just like that, removed the whole 10 dB peak, because it was super, super peaky. So, you know, what's the point of having that? And then I just played, I just increased the levels of the mid bass, and I ended up with this. And it's not perfect. It's not even close to being perfect. It's not really nice, but the thing is, it sounds not bad. So there is a dip here at the crossover region. I didn't have time to play with it might be just a polarity issue, but it would be deeper. I think it just needs some EQing or just remove this peak. That's the thing, when you're pressed on time, you don't have any time, you just leave it as it is. And this is the phase issue between the two mid bass drivers, but the sub integrates very well into the mid bass. And I went from, the old one is this, so let me actually bring the old one a tiny bit up. So this is, I call it quick and dirty, but we have the center image, kinda, it's not that bad. And so the mid kind of stayed the same. I rolled off the top end, as you can see, by like 5 dB. And I decreased the sub by 5 dB as well because it was boomy. So all of this at like 50, 60 hertz, this was causing the boom, the boominess. Yeah. And this is just for the harshness. So we did end up with this, which is, again, it's not perfect. It has 2 holes, which I will need to fix it either by just bringing the EQ up and bringing this peak down. But we listened to it. Sounds not bad. It sounds much better than factory. This helps a lot with metal music. So my advice, if you listen to a lot of metal, bring it down by 3-4 dB. It helps a lot. It's not as harsh. And the bass, the amount of bass is like what, plus 10 dB. It's good. It sounds good. And whole mill pulse, very quickly, just to show you. Again, it's not perfect, it's not spot on. So these mid bass, I could have dragged them a bit towards the 0, but in the crossover region here, like the cross at 70, so they do fall off because the slopes are not perfect. And again, I just didn't have time for the slopes. And they're not perfectly in phase, but they're not bad, which they're not out of phase, which is good. They're out of phase here at like what, 100 hertz. You can see it goes down. It's just the subwoofer probably needs more EQing down here. So like this. Then the wide bands, left and right. And let me choose here the mid bass for comparison. Yeah, just like that. So the wide bands, there we go. Let me pull this like that, that like that, this like this. Yeah. So the wide bands, if I remove the bass, they're kinda in phase here, out of phase here, here in phase as well. So this, I think it needs to work, needs more work with the slope, because it's not another phase branch plot line. Is the same. It's just they see they're tiny bit off, tiny bit like out of phase at this point at like 500, which is, where is it? Yeah, here. See? So this whole is just a phase issue here, which needs adjusting either with all pass probably, or just EQ. Probably all pass. It needs just an all pass, because here, later, see, it's following, and here in the slope it's following as well. Yeah. So quick and dirty, very fast, like 1.5 hours of tuning. It sounds not bad. It images not bad. It has loads of rattles, but it is what it is. It's just what, now we have like maybe 700 pounds just in gear, and it was second hand, and he's happy. That is the most important thing. He listens to a lot of metal, smashing the system, and yeah, I'm gonna let him to enjoy that. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.